publish an MCP server that needs a language model, and someone pays for every call. This chapter is about making sure that someone isn't you. You'll see the protocol run backwards and understand the one trick that keeps a public server cheap. Learn MCP on the NBX STUDIO. Picture a public MCP server for research. Somebody asks it to research quantum computing, and the tool scrapes a pile of Wikipedia articles and gathers the raw material. Now the tool needs to turn that pile into a readable report, and summarizing needs a language model. So the obvious move is to put your own anthropic key on the server and call Claude right there. That works perfectly on day one, when the only user is you. But every user's request flows through your code, which means every single summarization is billed to your key. Your server gets popular, and the bill arrives with the popularity. That's the corner sampling exists to get you out of. Sampling flips the direction. Normally, the client asks the server to do things, and every arrow points one way. Here the server turns round mid-tool and asks the client, "You call the model for me and send me back what it says." The tool takes a CTX argument, which is the server's line back to whoever connected. The call that does the asking is ctx.session.createMessage, and the key detail is that the client is the one holding an API key, so the client is the one who pays. The course calls it reverse Uno, and the restaurant version is nicer. We prepped your ingredients, but would you cook the last step at your house? You've got a kitchen and your own gas bill. The generated text comes back as the result, so your server stays cheap to run no matter how popular it gets, because the expensive part never happens on your machine. For that to work, the client has to agree in advance, and agreeing is one function. You write a sampling callback, and the SDK calls that function automatically whenever a server asks for a generation. Inside it, the messages the server sent arrive as prums, messages, in MCP's own format, so you may need to convert them into whatever shape your model expects. Then you call Anthropic yourself. This is your code, your key, your bill. And you register the callback when you open the session, which is the moment you're consenting to the whole arrangement. Nothing happens without that callback, so a client that never registers one simply can't be asked. Now, the part the course you may have read doesn't cover, because the spec moved. As of protocol version 2026-07-28, sampling is deprecated. It has not been removed. It stays in the specification for at least 12 months, and every existing client and server that uses it keeps working. But the official guidance is blunt. New implementations should not adopt it, and existing ones should migrate to calling an LLM provider's API directly. The earliest it becomes eligible for removal is a revision released on or after July 2027. So, why did we just spend a chapter on it? Because sampling is the clearest window into how this protocol thinks, a server that needs intelligence but refuses to hold a key, and because the code you inherit this year will be full of it. Learn it, recognize it, and don't start something new on it. The course asks it directly. In sampling, who pays for the Claude API call? The MCP server author. Or the client, whoever connected to the server. Have a think, and pause if you'd like a moment. Ready? The client pays because the client is the one that actually makes the call with its own key. That's the entire reason sampling exists rather than being a curiosity. 3 lines. Sampling reverses the protocol. The server asks the client. The client holds the key, so the client pays. And it takes one callback on the client and one CTX call on the server. Next chapter. How you stop a server reading files it was never meant to touch.